Greetings, superior beings, greetings, supreme being. We are all the human race, our common enemy is death. This is Try Something.Vegetarian on YouTube. And the broadcast for today is Palestinian Foreign Affairs. Excusez-moi. Palestinian Foreign Affairs Minister warns of chaos and violence if Netanyahu annexes Westbank. So, what have I planned for you all today? It's obvious I don't know much about this. In other words, I don't have a clue of what I'm talking about. But what I do know is that I'm going to cover this little article. It's just a very short article on the jpost.com website, the Jerusalem Post. They're taking my throat. PA warns of quote chaos and quote violence unquote if Netanyahu annexes Westbank. If Netanyahu wants to declare Israeli sovereignty over the West Bank, then you know that he will face a real problem, said PA, Palestinian Foreign Minister Riyad al-Maliki. So what exactly is Palestine? What are the real borders of Palestine? Because if I Google it, then I'm not really finding much. Quite maps. And I was the worst in my class with history lessons, with the lowest grade, the only one with B or insufficient. The lowest grade in my class, basically. And it was also because I refused to pump my brain full of supposed history lessons, because history is written by the victor. I think half of that is not true, basically, with these supposed history lessons. And I think it's wrong to brainwash ourselves with these supposed stories of what supposedly happened in human history. So where is Palestine? I also wrote some things down. Where is Palestine exactly? Have they wiped Palestine off the map? So we hear about Palestine and we know they talk of the Palestinian, though they abbreviate it for some reason, Palestinian Foreign Minister Riyad al-Maliki. Here, Foreign Affairs Minister of the Palestinian National Authority. So let me know if you know a map of Palestine. Perhaps there's something I've missed. So let's just let the speech engine read it, because my father is coming up with dinner and it's faster, I think, than my voice. Perpetrators are blocking the speech engine, obviously. Very funny. Then I can restart that. Especially when I'm in a rush, they start blocking things. And before I do a broadcast about a subject they want to hide the truth about, they changed the 720p camera into a 640p camera. And I'm supposed to believe that radiant energy of Nikola Tesla does not exist, or that they haven't used synthetic telepathy since its invention in 1974, or that it's okay to spread depleted uranium, that that's not terrorism, but resisting the invasion is terrorism, of course. Come on.
Paul warns of chaos and violence if Netanyahu annexes West Bank. If Netanyahu wants to declare Israeli sovereignty over the West Bank, then you know that he will face a real problem, said Foreign Minister Riyad al-Maliki. Palestinian Foreign Minister Riyad al-Maliki, photo credit, Reuters, Mohammed Abd el-Ghani. The Palestinian Authority has warned Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu about any attempt to annex the West Bank, which will lead to a cycle of violence and chaos. Speaking at the World Economic Forum in Jordan, Palestinian.
Well, perhaps that's what these people want. Perhaps they're just Luciferian UN people or whatever. Or Trilateral Commission, Committee of 300 Bilderberg. Whatever, they must have some connection. And then basically the question is, how could that lead to a cycle of violence and chaos? These people are locked up in Gaza, as if it's a prison, they can't get out. And 70 protesters were shot. So what can these people do? How can peace be brought to the Middle East? Will they get their own passport, and is it basically a one-state solution idea? And what is wrong with that idea, if anything? One idea is also giving the Temple Mount to the Israeli people, the Holy of Holies, to them. And of course the Muslims have Mecca, they consider that holier than the Temple Mount. And well, I think the Al-Aqsa looks better than what they have planned to build, the third temple. But that's a matter of taste, I guess. So that's a dome-shaped building like the Capitol building and the Vatican, etc.
Liberation Organization Secretary General Sabiri chastised Netanyahu, saying that the international community cannot treat Israel as a state that is above the law, Channel 13 reported. Read more related articles. Turkey, Benjamin Netanyahu irresponsible on West Bank annexation. Palestinian prisoners strike to start tomorrow, could lead to escalation. A large, family-sized apartment in the pre-war Astor building on Manhattan's Upper West Side, Mansion Global, recommended by. We heard Prime Minister Netanyahu speaking openly about his intentions to separate the West Bank and Gaza Strip and about annexing the West Bank. Channel 13 quoted Iraq as saying, "This will bring the area a cycle of violence and chaos." In a separate interview with the Associated Press, Foreign Minister Riyad al-Maliki said that Netanyahu would face a real problem if the West Bank were to be annexed. If Netanyahu wants to declare Israeli sovereignty over the West Bank, then you know that he will face a real problem, the presence of 4.5 million Palestinians, and what to do with them, Maliki told AP. He won't be able to expel them. He warned that Paul would resist any attempt to apply such a policy onto the West Bank. Recommended videos.
So I was cleaning up my desk, but then the question is also, can this lead to an annexation world war? Or is that impossible because there are now two states that can be played out against each other? Or are the Russians an ally of Palestine? And would they start interfering with the process? I haven't found anything on annexation, West Bank, Gaza, Putin. So I don't think Putin has spoken out about this yet. And I don't know if he will. But there were some other articles I wanted to cover. But since my father is coming up with dinner, I don't think we'll get very far. Iran threatens US troops in Mideast if IRGC designated as terror group. Iranian Major General Mohammad Ali Jafari warned that US troops could be targets in response to reports that the US would list the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps as a designated terrorist organization. Jafari is the head of the IRGC. So people can read about that also on the Jerusalem Post, jpost.com website, like the other article about the PA warning of chaos and violence if Netanyahu annexes the Westbank. It's all on Jerusalem Post. And then I had this: Netanyahu's annexation threat delivers another blow to prospects for peace. On latimes.com, I might make another broadcast about it then. And I had made this combination of the Palestinian map and the picture that is used on this website. This is not Hebrew. Or is it? Is this an ayin? Is it mirrored or something? No. Anyway, and then we have, was there any other article? Here we see a picture of Westbank. This is European Commission, Palestine. So is that the same as Palestine, the West Bank? Zoom in. There must be a way. I think this is Firefox browser, so it should show me plus and minus over here on the left side. Normally it shows me a thing on the left side that I can click on to zoom in. Control plus perhaps. Westbank, Ramallah, Jerusalem. So it's basically an enclave of Israel more or less, and Jordan, Syria over here, and Gaza is over here. So that's not the same. The West Bank and Gaza are not the same thing. Okay. Well, for me it leads to more questions than answers, basically. So I'm gonna read this piece, my latest writings, then I'm gonna have dinner.
Depleted uranium UN resolutions. 999 Prologic 999.blog2blog.nl resolutions making clear depleted uranium is officially a weapon of mass destruction. The use of depleted uranium was the most horrible war crime ever committed by humanity. The UN is a wolf in sheep's clothes. Their religious branch is Lucis Trust, formerly called Lucifer Publishing Company. The UN has not enforced the laws they made. Time we made a change. Get the ones on top, the people responsible for this atrocity, not innocent Americans. Lucis Trust, Luciferians in the UN. Bad Guacamole 2558 views December 18, 2016. At one time, the Lucis Trust office was located in New York at 666 United Nations Plaza. They are now located at 866 United Nations Plaza. CanadaFreePress.com/article/The Real United Nations. What might surprise you even more is that there is a satanic library inside the United Nations building called Lucis Trust, formerly known as Lucifer Publishing Company, not Lucifer Trust. The library in the United States used to be housed at the United Nations in NYC until it moved down the street. It still hosts a meditation room at the UN facility. JimDukePerspective.com/Lucis Trust. The United Nations and Lucifer worship. Netanyahu lied about Iraq's WMDs, now he's saying the same. Politicajusa.com watch. Netanyahu warmongered about Iraq's non-existent WMD before 1998 and Rafid Ahmad Alwin al-Janabi 91177 info published on February 15, 2011. So, spreading depleted uranium is a war against. Watch, alarming. Ebola spreading in Congo, greater than 700 deaths, plan to reduce population with killer vaccines. Nothing is unthinkable. AI looks like HAL. AI will control all since everything is energy. Lee. A crisis actor, aka actor patient or actor victim, is a trained actor, role player, volunteer, or other person engaged to portray a disaster victim during emergency drills to train first responders such as police, firefighters or EMT personnel. No, you're not meme. Meme kinda sounds like mean. Real snobbers, where is Palestine exactly? Have they wiped Palestine off the map? So, spreading depleted uranium is a war against terror. The satanic inversion. What might surprise you even more is that there is a satanic library inside the United Nations building called Lucis Trust, formerly known as Lucifer Publishing Company, not Lucifer Trust. The library in the United States used to be housed at the United Nations in NYC until it moved down the street. It still hosts a meditation room at the UN facility.